When I survey the wondrous cross, on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on all my pride. Our next masterpiece in this series of masterpieces that everyone Christian should know. It's our 24th masterpiece. That's the hymn, the first verse of When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. It's found in our own Breaking Bread, so it shows that it still has relevance in many Christian denominations. And it was written by a man named Isaac Watts back in 1707. And they mentioned that Charles Wesley, who was a great hymn writer, in hearing of Watts's When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, said he would trade in all the hymns he wrote to be able to say that he penned this song. So really a great compliment. And the Terry Glaspey, the author of this series, mentions that it really is widely considered to be the first great English hymn writer. Watts is considered to be the first great hymn writer and the headwaters from which the whole tradition of English hymns has flowed. So it has many musical settings. The one that I sang and the one that's in our Breaking Bread book is from the 1824 composition by Lowell Mason. Interestingly enough, whenever I've sung this prayer for evening prayer in groups or whatnot, when the music's not provided, I sing a different version. I don't know whose it is, and that's what I expected to sing to you. But then when I looked it up in the Breaking Bread and found out they had the most traditional melody, it ends up that that's the one that they mentioned in the book to be the most popular. And just a beautiful imagery of Watts wanting to take us to the foot of the cross to meditate on this moment that changed human history forever. The moment of the salvation that our God won for us in Jesus Christ on the cross through his passion, death, and resurrection. And so this song does just that, and it beautifully portrays the last verse that I want to just read to you. Were the whole realm of nature mine, that were a present far too small, love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all. I love that. This idea that when we really meditate on and appreciate and accept the gift of what God offers us on the cross, through this moment of, yes, horrible death, but yet victory and triumph over sin and death forever, that it compels us to want to give our life, to sacrifice our life for God and for others. Demands my soul, my life, my all. I'm actually here in the sacristy at OLP. I chose this spot because I'm standing in front of an older processional cross that we have that was actually carved by one of our parishioners back in the day at OLP. And then a cross that used to be on the altar in the gym and in the main church during the 70s, when our founding pastor, Monsignor Jim Daly, had masses there. And then the newest processional cross that we got through the CSA Catholic Services Appeal about 2 or 3 years ago that we mostly use at Mass now. But all of them remind us of this great gift that God gives us on the cross. And interesting, when Watts actually penned this hymn and published it, he did so in a series of songs called Hymn and Spiritual Songs that he published in 1707 to 1709. But he did it in the section on Prepared for the Holy Ordinance of the Lord's Supper. So the author mentions that he did it clearly, wanted to connect it with the Eucharist and partaking in the body and blood of Christ at Holy Communion. So seeing that was kind of the liturgical setting that he had hoped for. They mention in this that Watts grew up actually as a prodigy. He knew multiple languages at a very young age, had a gift for kind of rhyming and writing, and he would eventually be offered to his way to be paid to go to Oxford or Cambridge. But because his family and he, as a young adult, had taken on a faith that was not the conformist faith of the Anglican Church, he couldn't go there because he would have had to swear faith to the Anglican Church or to make a promise. So he ended up going at a local school in London, but still eventually graduated, got his degree, went on to be a pastor. And for the early years of his life, he was a very effective pastor, but he was also writing hymns. when he was younger, before he went off to college, they say that he went to mass one day and was complaining about the hymns and thought they were oversimplistic in their rhyming and the theology. And so his father said, well, then write some, do something about it. And that kind of started a career in which he would end up writing over 750 hymns that are still known to this day. And that would be a major part of his career. He would kind of retire from being a pastor at around 40 because he was sickly throughout his life, and eventually went to live with a friend in retirement and ended up living for 36 years. But retired from active ministry, continued to write hymns, and that ended up being a big part of his life, to which we've been blessed to inherit. But he went on at one point to want to write some of the hymns, the Psalms, in music. That was a big part of the worship of many Christian denominations back in that day. And so he wanted to provide music to sing the Psalms. And so he released a series called The Psalms of David, imitated in the language of the New Testament and applied to the Christian state and worship. A long title, but it shows what he was trying to do. He wanted to Christianize the Psalms and bring them to relevance in the modern Christian church. They mention here his goal was to express himself as David would have if he had been alive in the Christian era. So one of the couple songs that we get from that, the one I know best, O God, our help in ages past, which is a reworking of Psalm 90, and then one I don't know so well, Jesus shall reign wherever the sun, and that's based on Psalm 72. One of his other most popular hymns that he wrote that is the most well-known is Joy to the World. Although that we use in Christmas time, obviously, although the author here suggests that Watts would not be happy to know that it's been relegated to just the Christmas season, he would have wanted that to be something sung throughout the whole church year. So that's our masterpiece, number 24, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross by Isaac Watts. Really, again, ushering in the English hymns and setting the tone for English hymns that we know many of to this day. Our next masterpiece will be, the drum roll please, the St. Matthew Passion by Johann Sebastian Bach. You may have heard of him. So that'll be our next one, number 25. Please tune in with us. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day, and God bless.